Holly Lamb, and this is Lamb Living. Today we're going to be doing DIYs for the hutch in my living room. Okay, here are the stars of the show today. That is folk art sage, Waverly plaster, and that is folk art white wax. Okay, let's start with this pineapple from the Dollar Tree. We're taking the tinsel off there. I'll use that at school. But we're going to dress it up a little bit with some twine in a moment. Let's take that sage color paint and put it on the leaves of our pineapple. The cage fell apart there, but that makes it easier to paint the leaves. We're going to set that aside, and here come the fairy garden items. We're also going to paint in that sage. That's from the Dollar Tree, from their fairy garden. And these are from Dollar General. Oh, look at that little gnome. He's a cutie. That little succulent pot is also from the Dollar General, only $1, not $1.25. So pay attention to the Dollar General. They have things for cheaper sometimes. Now my heating tool is going to help us get those price tags off. It's wonderful. Now our little gnome is going to get the sage as well, except for I want a little bit of color to come through in our living room hutch. I'm not afraid to put color. I like things in monochromatic shades, but most everything's going to get that sage, but I want that little red to come through. I also am going to paint only one coat on that pink flower roof, because I'm going to let a little of that pink show through, and I'll show you how in just a few minutes. Ooh, there's the Huggies baby wipes, and they are going to help that. But we'll show you that in just a few minutes. Okay, while everything is drying, we're going to go ahead, and this is a little, I don't know, a little cart. It's got a sunflower on the top. I'm not going to paint the sunflower at all. We're only going to white wax it, so I'm going to put the sage chalk paint by Folk Art on everything except for that sunflower on top. There's a little bitty purple flower that I'm not vibing with, so I'm going to go ahead and paint that as well in the sage, and he's going to set aside to dry. Uh-oh, a little bit of my paper got on the front of the welcome pot for the succulent, so I'm going to rub it off with that Huggies wipe. I like how it's distressed that welcome, those words, so I'm just going to paint over what I rubbed off, and I'm going to leave that part on the welcome. We'll come back to that in a minute as well. All right, now then, that is an Easter egg, that little shell. I got that in a pack with all the Easter eggs around April, actually March. And then those are saucers for pots. I got those at Wal-Mart, and they're around 99 cents. They're the small saucers for the small terracotta pots. And I'm using that great heat tool. Boy, that's the best $10 I ever spent on Amazon. Each one of those saucers are going to get a different treatment. So I'm going to put the sage by Folk Art on one. And of course, there goes the sage on that Easter egg. It's not an egg shape, it's a shell shape, which is adorable. I knew I could use that for something other than for hiding candy. All right, I'm going to finish up the sage chalk paint on the saucer. Now this one is getting the plaster paint by Waverly. I got that at Wal-Mart. That is plaster, which is a little bit of a off-white ivory shade. This one is also going to get plaster. Now this is a little metal wire park bench with a little butterfly on it. It's getting the white or the plaster chalk paint as well. We'll go back and distress that and bring out some of that silver wire color in just a little bit. Now here comes the magic. Folk Art white wax cures everything. It makes everything a soft, sagey, well, not sagey, soft, I don't know, satiny, frosted finish. So pretty. I'm wiping it off and just going to leave some in the cracks and crevices. I like to also put white wax on my succulents from the Dollar Tree. Of course, this one's from Dollar General. But when you put the white wax on and then wipe it off, it just leaves a little film that makes everything look softer and prettier, and gives it a little bit of a frosted feel to it. So there's a clean paintbrush that I'm using to wipe off, and I'm wiping it on that paper towel there. I'm wiping off the white wax so that it'll get that frosty look. We don't want to leave it all chunky. You could. The white wax is pretty kind of chunky as well, but I just want a light satiny finish to make it just a frosted look. Okay, plated silver items are, wow, you can get them at thrift stores for so cheap. When I was first married, silver plated items were a wonderful way to I don't know, decorate and to entertain with. And so we lived in Virginia at the time, and so I had a nice little collection of silver plated items. I thought they were something else. I'd wrap them in tissue paper. No more. Now they are, you just don't even mess with the silver tarnish anymore. Just buy them at the thrift store and distress them, paint them and distress them. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and distress that plaster chalk paint. I'm using one of those blocks from the Dollar Tree of sandpaper, and then I also like the fine grit of just nail files. And so I take that Huggy baby wipe, and the vitamin E and the chamomile or whatever they put in baby wipes does a great job softening that chalk paint just a little bit. It's water-based, so it can easily, I'm showing you the difference there. I have two different styles. I don't know if you can tell, that's pretty fast. But I'm just putting water on it right now. It's set a little bit too long, so I'm gonna, makes it a little bit easier to distress when I put a little water on it. Okay, so we're gonna set those aside and I'll finish those later. Now we're gonna apply the magic, the white wax by Folk Art, to our dried items that we painted with the sage paint, chalk paint. And you see that I'm just doing a portion of that shell, that little Easter egg shell. Then I wipe it off, and then I'll do the second half, and I'll let that dry. I'm putting a lot of white wax on that sunflower that we left with the manufactured paint. That manufactured paint isn't going anywhere. But if I put the white wax on the sage paint, it'll start to reactivate the paint, and I'll rub it off. If I leave it on too long, and it'll rub right back down to the paint. It'll come right off. So I don't want to leave it on the sage paint too long since I just painted. I want to get that white wax off so it leaves that pretty frosty look. So I'll do his hat, and then I'll wipe it off, and then I'll do his body, and I'll wipe that, and it leaves that white wax in the crevices and makes it, ooh, such a pretty color. Not even really green. It's more of an aqua color. It's just my shade. It's what I love right now. Everything I get a hold of, and I paint with sage folk art paint, and then I white wax it. Oh, it's so cute. See, I left his little red mushroom there. Gonna add a little pop of color. All right, what's this? This is the house. I'm gonna do the bottom first, and then we're gonna deal with that roof, because I want to take off some of that paint, and I want to show a little pink. There's our little welcome pot, and he got his little treatment, and we'll put his little succulent back in there. He's finished. Now, let's put a little water on that roof, and I'm going to use my baby wipe, and I'm going to rub off some of that paint. I'm going to put more water on and rub some more. Then I'll take just my real fine grit nail files, and I'm going to rub off that sage paint to reveal a little bit of that pink. Do you remember the roof on that fairy house was pink? I don't want a lot of the color to come through, but I just want it to be ever so slightly pink. So most of it is the sage. I think I'm going to show it to you here. It looks like it's slowed down. Here we go. I'm just being a little extra. All right, there it is. You see a little bit of that pink coming through. Looks lovely. And then I'm going to give it a nice coat of the white wax, and then I'll rub that off and set that off to dry, and those will be ready to go. Those are finished once I set it to dry. They just need to sit up for an hour or so, and they will be just lovely. All right. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful frosted color. It's kind of a aquamarine, blue-green. Ooh, I just love it. All right, now I'm going to put a little water on that plaster by Waverly, and then I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to go ahead and white wax that other saucer, the green saucer, and then I'm going to come back to the one I just put water on, distress it a little bit, and bring out that terracotta color coming through the plaster, chalk paint, and when I get that to where I want it, we'll set that aside, and I will white wax the other side of the sage saucer, and then we'll set it aside to dry. And I want to do that in kind of a circular pattern. All right, now we're back to the pineapple. We've white waxed its leaves, so now we're going to put the cage back together and work on the pineapple. Now that the leaves are white waxed and dried, we're going to go ahead and hot glue it with my Surebonder. Oh, I love this Surebonder hot glue gun. It doesn't drip. You can turn it on and just leave it on for a little while and it's not going to drip out. I just love that. Now those little shears are gardening shears from the Dollar Tree, which are a great find. We're going to use that medium size twine on the spool. I got that off Amazon. It's kind of a medium thickness, which I like for this pineapple. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be going to the right, which makes it easier for me. And I just burnt my finger, and so I'm going for my finger protectors. I keep those in a little jar. That was a hot sauce salsa jar that I just washed out and decorated there. And so now those are actually guitar picks for finger picking guitar. I don't play the guitar. I am a music teacher, so I play the ukulele, but my hands are too small. I can't play a guitar. My son plays the guitar really well, but not me. But I do use those to protect my fingers for that hot glue gun. That Surebonder is hot glue. I have a few others that are a lower setting, but that Surebonder is my favorite. I got it at Walmart. It's very reasonable. You see, I'm just pushing hard on that twine. I'm going to push up with my thumbs as it sets because I want it to be very tightly wound. And I put a lot of hot glue on there. I know some people just wrap it around, but I want to know that it's going to stay, and I want to know that it's going to be nice and tight. So I'm going to cut it off at an angle, and then I'm going to cut it off here soon. And then I'm going to push hard, put my little hot glue on, and then push hard with my little silicone finger protectors. And there it is. Now I'm going to be a little extra, and I'm going to dab a little bit of sage paint on the edges. You don't have to do this, but you know, that's who I am. All right, with a quick little trim with my scissors, and the pineapple is done. Oh, there's some already stained beautifully finished beads from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. So I am making those feet for our saucers. They're going to be risers. I'm just putting a little dab of hot glue on there. Ooh, I did not get those on straight. Beautiful of hot glue is you can just pop it right off and fix it, and it'll peel right off. I love that about hot glue. Makes it easy to fix. Crafting is, you know, just make it happen. Make it work. Don't stress about it. Oh my goodness, they're perfect little risers for everything. Ooh, now I've made a trip to Hobby Lobby. One of my favorite aisles is the 75% off aisle. Oh, don't show my husband that buggy. I found some cute little houses on the clearance aisle. They weren't 90% off. That's my favorite aisle at Hobby Lobby. But 75% off is pretty great because you get better selection in that aisle. So I'm going to take this napkin and use that decoupage medium. That's the Aleene's decoupage medium. You get that at Walmart. I love Mod Podge, don't get me wrong. And you can get Mod Podge in little bitty containers at the Dollar Tree. And for 16 ounces, you're going to end up paying about $10 at the Dollar Tree. And that's a 16-ounce bottle, and that is $7.97. So you're saving about $2 if you buy that decoupage medium. But again, I love Mod Podge as well. That is a matte finish. And I'm using those napkins right there, I believe came from Joann Fabrics. They are a 3-ply napkin, so I had to take 2 plies off the back, and I'm just using the front decorative side. I'm cutting a nice sharp edge, so I'll get that nice clean edge, and then I'll tear it when I put it together. I'll just kind of pull it apart there, gently, yes. So, and then dab, 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 and then set those aside to dry. And there we go, a little extra there, that's who I am. And I'll lean it up there, and it is drying. Yes, that one's drying nicely. Very nice. Okay, I'll put my brush in a little baggie. Ooh, now we're gonna see the solar wood flowers get a little time on stage. They are gorgeous, made out of balsa wood, and you have to order these from the website, Solar Wood website. And I'm just using skewers I bought at the Dollar Tree. And they have a nice pointy edge, so I'm just poking them right into that soft wood. Those flowers are gorgeous. Go to that website and check them out. They're not that expensive, and you can get all kinds. We might be using some of those solar wood flowers in some of my wedding practice runs. Started my channel to chronicle my adventures into my daughter's wedding, which is coming up in a year and 2 months. In October of 2023. So those solar wood flowers, they may make a reappearance, we'll see. Okay, now I've been to the Restore. My husband and I like to go in there, and I found these 3, they're corkback, I guess coasters, trivets. I got those beautiful art books at a thrift store we have here in Glenn County called Hello Goodbye. Oh, it's my favorite thrift store, it's fantastic. And they had all these gorgeous pictures in them. I'm not an artist per se, but I just love those pictures. And so I found one there of the lily of the valley, which are the same color scheme of my little trivets. I'm not really into that one picture about cooking in the ground. They look like Hawaiian pictures, and you know I don't cook in the ground. So, you know, I can appreciate that, but I don't, I feel like we can go lily of the valley and get a better look there for us. So I'm just going to fussy cut a little bit, and then we are going to use our decoupage medium again from Aleene's, and I am going to need to spray the back of this with a little bit of water, there I go, to wet. It's a real thick art paper, and so I want that decoupage medium, I'm really dabbing it on thick so I can get it on there. I don't mind a few little bubbles. That doesn't bother me at all. That looks rustic and a little bit, you know, I have a shabby chic thing going on here at my house. And so a couple little wrinkles or bubbles doesn't bother me at all, but I want it to stick. I don't want any big bubbles coming up because it's got a dry place on the underside. So that's why I put the water on, and then you can see my coat is thick. Use the heat tool there, and I'm just going to set that aside to dry. That's going to take a little while. It'd be better if it dries on its own. All right, my nail files get another moment here in the camera lens. They are going to, that napkin is dry now with the, for lack of a better term, Mod Podge. And so I'm going to use my, that little fine sandpaper on the nail files to just sand that napkin off, no problem. Makes beautiful crisp edge. Here it goes, there it goes. That one was just a little thick, so I wanted to get it nice. And you can see those little houses already have the little feet on them. And here come our solar wood flowers. Ooh, we'll see those in the final reveal at the end. Okay, now one more coat so it's nice and covered and I don't get any edges coming up, and that will look just like the other two. I love those other little mountain pictures. So we're going to leave those 2 mountain pictures. We're just going to cover up that one of cooking in the ground. That's not really what I do. So now we are going to give the magic, put the magic on these little coasters, these glass silver plated coasters that I've now painted with the plaster. And they are getting the magic white wax, which is going to kind of finalize them. That also is going to seal that plaster chalk paint so it doesn't get dirty. It can be wiped off. The white wax will seal that, so I can, if some coffee or something gets on them, if someone's, using tea. It can just be wiped off, no problems. So that white wax serves several purposes. I am wiping it off the glass. I don't want it to dry on the glass. I thought that glass on those coasters was beautiful. All right, now we're down to the final reveal. This is my hutch in the living room, and you can see I've got lots of sage coming out. But there's still lots of color to be seen. And we're going to zoom in on Hobby Lobby clearance houses, and the beautiful decoupage just adds a little pop of color, which goes with that beautiful painting I think I got at Kirkland's a long time ago. But the solo wood flowers coming out of it just make those houses just beautiful. All right, now we're going to kind of pan across the bottom here. That's some pottery I got in North Carolina when my husband and I were there on a music conference. You can see lots of little fairy garden items. There's our park bench with the pretty butterfly, all distressed, sitting on a little piece of wood. Oh my goodness, there's a little gnome enjoying a campfire, sitting in a big shell turned upside down. Now we see that little shell that used to be an Easter egg. Never could know that's an Easter egg from the Dollar Tree. It's sitting there with a thrifted book. I love old books. Just give me your old books. I love them. The darker and the messier, the better. All right, now you can see that little plaster riser back there with a pineapple on top. How cute is that? Even that LED candle, it has a little saucer to sit in from our coasters that we made from the silver-plated coaster set. We have a nice little lantern I made with Dollar Tree frames. And there's our house with the little pink roof peeking through. That Singing Saints is actually an album I got at the Goodwill a long time ago. I love to shop thrift stores for old vintage things. There's our little succulent pot that says welcome. And we have that riser, that terracotta riser with the white wax. Going up to the next shelf, let's see what we have here. We've got our little gnome with the red mushroom, that little pop of red coming through, but doesn't he look magical with his white wax? He's so fancy with the little succulents back there. They've also been painted with the white wax. And there's the terracotta coaster or saucer with his little feet from the Dollar Tree, little beads. We go up to the next level and we see those solo wood flowers and that pineapple that we made today, the one down on the bottom. I made that before as a little practice run, and oh, I love that pineapple. And that beautiful tray has a transfer, that eucalyptus transfer I got off Amazon. Oh my goodness, they have so many transfers. They're beautiful. We'll have to do a video on transfers. They're one of my favorites. And then there's kind of a look of the whole hutch. You can see the other side. Now this is at nighttime. About 5:30 I have my LED candles set to come on. That's when we start getting things ready for dinner. We sit in the living room to eat dinner these days, now that my kids are grown. And I'm going to show you each one of the levels. The middle levels have more little candles, little glowing candles. You can see that saucer back there with his little feet, sitting with the little mushroom and his little LED tea light. I got those off Amazon as well. They're on a timer. I love tea lights on a timer. I love LED timer candles. Now there's our little cart with the sunflower peeking through. It's got its white wax on it. I plan on doing a dining room table refresh with sunflowers for the end of summer. So stay tuned for that. And there's another little gnome on the little piece of wood. They're selling those right now at the Dollar Tree. Little pieces of birch wood. And then that little gnome is sitting on another tray that was thrifted, and I painted with the sage by Folk Art and the white wax. And those cotton pods you can also get at the Dollar Tree right now. And there's our little lamb sitting on a little piece of wood and just some lentils. That's what the green is there on the bottom of that piece of pottery, enjoying the little meadow and the pond that has a little bit of blue peeking through. And here are newly decoupaged Hobby Lobby houses from the clearance aisle, and those beautiful solar wood flowers. But the real star of lamb living for me will always be the Lord Almighty. Joshua 24:15 says, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." I would love it if you will hit like and subscribe and turn on your bell notifications so you'll know when I upload another video from the blue house on the corner with the cute little dog behind the screen door. See you next time.